Mitch presents a new skinny bill, but Nancy is not impressed by his very small package. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. This is Afternoon's LALATE, our 2-hour programming block that starts every day with a check, then goes to hazard pay, then FPUC, and then finally rent. Programming note, I'll be moving rent to evenings LALATE tonight because my voice is like on the edge of turning off, so hopefully it will be better. I need to give it a little bit of a break. Exciting, great news. Good news, and also what the hell news, along with some wacko Nancy Pelosi news this afternoon about your stimulus checks, stimulus package. Let me get right to the details. Nancy Pelosi last weekend angered a lot of viewers when she did not do a deal about your stimulus checks because she was more focused on the postman. Now today, Nancy Pelosi is now saying she's not going to do a stimulus package and stimulus checks because of the postman. As if this couldn't get any more wacko, let me get right to the detail. The great news is that all the Republican powers that be, all the people who are at the table, near the table, or outside the door because they can't get in the club, want to give you stimulus checks. Mitch, Steve, Mark, the president, they all want to give you stimulus checks. They all want to give you a stimulus check if you're a dependent. They all want to give you a stimulus check if you're not a dependent. So why aren't you getting a stimulus check? And how long do you have to wait through this insanity? It's dependent upon your power of the purple. The power of the purple has really heated up as viewers of this channel have reached out to their congressional leaders and broadcast news media and say, hey, you know, Republicans want to give us a stimulus check. Nancy wants to hold up my check because she wants to do a bailout of Andrew and Gavin. Let me explain to you what's going on today, Tuesday. As we sit here today, Tuesday, we're up to upwards of now 3 weeks in which Nancy Pelosi, by no dispute of the matter, has refused to even meet with the other negotiators. Now, how can you have someone try to get your stimulus checks if they don't even meet with the negotiators? If you don't recall, the 4 negotiations are Steve Mnuchin, Mark Meadows on behalf of the Republicans, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer on behalf of the Democrats. They're refusing to meet. Over the weekend, Nancy said she'll deal with this in January. Viewers cannot wait to January. So they want Nancy to go, period, not go postal, just go, and they want another Democrat to really step in and do the negotiation. But here's what's really breaking overnight. If you did not catch it on overnight news, the overriding adjective or adverb used by broadcast news media to describe both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party as we sit here in August is cowardly. They say that the Republicans refuse to do anything unless President Trump approves it, that they're afraid of him, and that the Democrats refuse to do anything unless Nancy Pelosi authorizes it, and they're afraid of her. Why did we elect officials to turn this into basically an oligarchy between Nancy and Donald? That's not what we voted upon. If you don't understand what's going on, the Blue Dogs, the New Age coalitions, all these Democrats have a problem with Nancy. They all indicated their problem was they want the stimulus checks to go out right now. They have the purple power. They have your spirits in mind. They want you to get stimulus checks, enhance unemployment benefits. They want all these things to go out as standalone bills. So it's not like you're preaching to the choir. They are the choir. The problem is that the church is closed. The church of Pelosi is closed. She's locked the door and she doesn't want anyone in. And she is the divine authority in her book of the Democratic Party. No one else can express anything but her. That's why it's time for her to go. Viewers of this channel understand the severity of the situation because no one can sit around for a stimulus check because of Nancy Pelosi's $28.5 million net worth sitting around saying, hey, I'll just deal with it in January. They can't wait around. And so as we sit here today, your power, the purple, is the good news. Is the good news because you've ramped up the efforts. Let me recap. Over this weekend, Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin reiterated the president's position for standalone stimulus checks as a standalone bill to go out this week. Okay, we're on Tuesday. Let's do it. Let's do it. The way it's done is a standalone bill. I wrote the bill. I wrote a standalone bill for extension of FPUC. I also said that the eviction moratorium can be done by executive order. Okay, well, you don't want my version. Do your own version and get the checks out. But also something has to go out is Nancy Pelosi. Because ultimately, as we sit here today, it's very troubling to viewers of this channel to understand that there's incredibly great news. You have Democrats and Republicans, 400-something members or 500 members of the Congress that all want your stimulus checks to go out. There's agreement upon eligibility of the checks. I mean, this is just what's so incredibly great news. Everyone agrees upon the checks. Everyone agrees upon the eligibility of the checks. Everyone agrees upon how quickly you'll get the checks, 10 days if you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits. They'll land in your account electronically about 10 days thereafter. Everyone agrees to this. So why are they being sent out? Her name is Nancy Pelosi, and her infatuation is threefold. Gavin, Andrew, and Postmaster Toastmaster. She doesn't want things to go out. What is new today with her current confusion or baffling of the situation? She now says that she doesn't want the stimulus checks to go out unless they fix the postal issue. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's just like, this is more wacko Nancy Pelosi news coming up right up now. She doesn't want the issue of stimulus even addressed until we get to the post office. She wants this thing, which stimulus has been around since, March. She doesn't want that even addressed until postal is fixed. Now, Republicans are calling her out. Democrats are calling her out. Republicans are saying, hey, we'll give you postal money and we'll give you stimulus checks. Let's have them go out. She says, no, I want postal done this way and then I'll get to stimulus. But then, we've called her bluff because right after that is her next holdup after the post office is Gavin and Andrew. She doesn't want your stimulus checks to go out until she gives a big free check, free money to Andrew Cuomo for state of New York, Chuck Schumer's state, and Gavin Newsom, California's governor, her state. She wants to hold up your checks because she wants to give a bailout to states who can go loan money. That's the troubling news as we sit here today in a landscape of incredibly great news. Who would think that after all these months, we finally got everyone to agree on the stimulus checks. We've gotten everyone to agree that you get a stimulus checks, and that was a hard path to reach. And we've reached that point. What incredible achievement of this country. And there's one person holding it up? Why are the Democrats such cowards that they can't stand up to Nancy Pelosi? Why are the Republicans such cowards that they can't stand up to Mark Meadows and Donald Trump and say, hey, let's bridge this bipartisan? Let me tell you what's different today. What's different today is that you have to have an element of skepticism to Mark Meadows. I'll explain to you why. Mark Meadows has said he wants to do a standalone bill for stimulus check, which is what you need. It removes the stimulus check from the enormous package. It's like you're going for lipo, and you see all the fat in there, and you just want the skinny little body. Well, the skinny little body is your stimulus check, and try to get rid of the fat. The fat is the bailout for Andrew and Gavin. Let's get rid of the fat and just get out the checks. Well, that's what Mark Meadows said on Saturday. On Monday, suddenly he said, okay, I want to do 5 things. 5 things. We're doing only one thing, or we're doing 3 standalone bills: stimulus checks, unemployment benefits, and FPUC, and rent eviction moratorium. What are the 5 things? Well, he says, I want to do school aid. Hold up, we're not doing school aid first, Mark. We want to do additional assistance for small businesses, PPP loans. Wait a second, Mark. We're not doing PPP loans. Hold up. Don't play games with me, Mark Meadows. You have done 2-3 rounds of PPP. You did one in March. You did one in April. You did one just recently. You want to wait for my checks because you want to do PPP? No, the PPP, Please, with the PPP, behind me with the checks. I will get you your PPP after we get to the checks. We want to plus up food stamps. That's good, but, you know, we first got to get the checks out, and we want to do eviction protection. Well, amen there. That was then. Then came Mitch. I don't know. I mean, Mitch is starting to become like, you know, the Erica Jane of Congress. It's like there's two versions to him. There's Erica Girardi and there's Erica Jane. I don't know which version I'm getting. But with Mitch McConnell, you know, it's starting to become like schizo. Mitch McConnell last night said he wants stimulus to go right out right now. Great adjectives, great adverbs. But guess what he did Monday? Get ready for bad news. Guess what he did on Monday? He delivered a skinny bill as a draft. If you've been confused, there's some chatter, and again, it's incorrect chatter, that a skinny Republican bill was introduced. It was not introduced. It was put on Dropbox. It was introduced to Dropbox. It was introduced to people's emails. It was introduced to cocktail napkins. That's where it was introduced. It was not introduced to the Congress. But it's also suggestive of where Mitch McConnell's brain is, whatever part of it is left. He wrote a skinny bill, and it mirrors all the horrors of what we had heard it would encompass. What's in the skinny bill? Everything that should not be. First, PPP money for businesses. 2, enhanced liability insurance for businesses. 3, something else for businesses. 4, something for you? No. Anything for you? No. Stimulus checks? No. Now, why did he write something up and just put it in, you know, send it out but not introduce it as a bill? Is this the way you sort of threaten people? Nancy, I wrote something, and here's my proposal. Let's understand, it's a proposal, it's not a bill. So we are educated, we have the purple power, we understand what is a bill. It's introduced to the Senate, the Congress floor, the House introduces it, the Senate introduces it. You spend the $5 to put it in. Here he didn't want to spend $5 because he doesn't pay his bills. He doesn't write his bills, I meant. Sorry. He didn't want to put it in as a bill. Okay, why make people nervous? This is along the same regards as Nancy Pelosi calling Mark Meadows names. Why is the chief negotiator for the Democratic Party calling the Republican negotiator names? Yesterday she called him enemy of the state. Oh, you know, first defender of the force. You know, the Darth Vader. You know, it sounds like a bad Star Wars dialogue scene. That was yesterday. The day before she called him what's his name. What is she going to call him tomorrow? Chuck E. Cheese? I mean, this is, you know, what other insult is she going to do? Where we have Mitch McConnell now drafting scary bills but not introducing them. Okay, hold up, everyone. This is where the purple power steps in. Enough is enough. Everyone wants to get out the stimulus check. Everyone needs to be civil. Everyone needs to be respectful. And everyone needs to do what we're agreeing to. A third of America can't pay rent. 29 million Americans are hungry. And additional assistance for PPP money should not be Mark Meadows' priority. We just broke the record number on jobs, all-time record, says the president. Not true. You're at the 21st week of unemployment benefits at over 1 million unemployment claims. So no, you're not breaking any record. You're breaking the reverse record. Internal Revenue Service is projected to say that there's 37.2 million unemployment jobs, fewer jobs this year, and it's going to announce them on Thursday. Pelosi says that she's going to wait to January because it's not in her strategic best interest. And all the benefits of the CARES Act, the first stimulus package, have been basically diluted. They no longer have a stimulating effect on the economy. Whatever efforts that Congress did on the first stimulus package, those effects no longer exist. So as we sit here today, we wonder what could happen next. It's basically all in your court. The president said we will, if we passed a freestanding postal bill, he will sign it. Now he says he will not, says Nancy Pelosi, as to Mark Meadows. Very well said. I mean, Mark Meadows is flipping. He's saying on, all of last week's standalone bill for stimulus checks. Now he's saying he's not. Then he'll say he'd do a standalone bill for postal. Now he says he won't. And then, you have everything else about that. Mitch McConnell, the American people need additional assistance now. Okay, I'm going to go over that sentence really slowly. The American people need additional assistance now. Mitch, who are the American people? Big business? Why is your skinny bill, which you drafted as a proposal and introduced it to, Dropbox and, emails on Monday, why does it have nothing for the American people? All it has is bailouts for big businesses again. This can only be done on a bipartisan basis. I hope we'll be there soon. No, it can be done by giving people stimulus checks. We don't need another round of PPP as an emergency order. As you may have noticed, we're at a stalemate with the Democratic House and the Democratic minority in the Senate have not been able to reach an agreement. But I have not given up hope. I love that. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you for not giving up hope. But he says the assistance needs to be done now. As you sit here today, I want you to understand what is currently the landscape, because the landscape has gotten very, very confusing. The good news is everyone wants to give you a stimulus check. The great news is they all say the stimulus check would land in your bank accounts within about 10 to 13 days after they agree to it. The great news is they could agree to it today and make it a law within 3 days, 96 hours. The great news is the president wants to give you a stimulus check. The great news is the president could order all members of the House in session, all members of the Senate in session to vote on the standalone stimulus check bill. The what the hell news is why no one has written a standalone bill. The what the hell news is that everyone in Congress, whether Republican or Democrat, have become cowards. They're a coward to the president, they're a coward to Nancy Pelosi, and they have no voice of their own. They literally just roll over, with the exception of maybe AOC and the Democrats, and maybe, occasionally Mitt Romney with the Republicans. But if you're not a Mitt Romney and an AOC, you literally have no voice. As Berea out of Anaheim said earlier this week, I'm just looking at it and worried. Why aren't you running something, sir? That is the era of cowardice among Congress. And I'm not the only one to say it. It was all over broadcast news last night. So we wonder, why do these people think that everything succumbs to two people's wishes, Nancy and Donald? And that is the troubling news. As you sit here tonight, you need to understand, or this afternoon, you need to understand where we are and what are the bills. We still, ironically, only have a HEROES Act, which was approved by the Senate, by the House in the Senate, which calls for stimulus checks. A HEALS Act, which was introduced to the Senate, has never been approved by the Senate, has never been approved by the House, and never would be. They both call for stimulus checks, but they are both diluted, overwhelmed with a lot of other stuff that would never get passed. 3 weeks have passed, and no new bills have been introduced about your checks. There are older bills about your checks, which sometimes some people want to say they're new bills. No, they're older bills. The Kamala Harris bill that calls for $2,000 check every month for 6 months until the pandemic improves, or until stimulus, or until, Big Bird walks in and tells Nancy Pelosi, stop this PBS interview. It's outrageous, Nancy. You have Joe Biden running for president, never indicating what he's going to do for stimulus checks, never indicating what he's going to do for stimulus package, never indicating whether he supports the HEROES Act or the HEALS Act. Kamala Harris, who wrote the bill for $2,000 checks every month for 6 months, not saying whether she's now going to support her own bill as a VP candidate, or is going to support the Nancy Pelosi bill or the Donald bill. She's not saying anything. And then there's this. You're like, Purple, I can't take anymore. Okay, here's what else Purple has to tell you. Last night, the Republican National Convention started, and for the first time in reported history, there was no party policy document released. What does that mean? Before a convention, you always have a party policy document released that says, I support this for Social Security, I support this for railroads and infrastructure, I support this. Nothing was released. So there literally is nothing in writing for the president about anything. Not about the Rose Garden and removing the 3 trees. Not about, Don Jr.'s strange colored beard. Not about stimulus checks. Nothing was mentioned by the president. So as you sit here right now, we literally have nothing in writing from the president about stimulus checks except, some tweets here and there saying that he wants the stimulus checks to go out right away. He's ordered Steve Mnuchin to send out the checks right away. And so we wonder, okay, what's he doing? But Joe Biden, on the other hand, has said nothing about your stimulus checks either, or much of anything for the stimulus package. Will it change? Yes. Will it change because of you? Yes. You have the purple power. You have the purple power. You've been contacting your congressman. You've been tweeting your representatives. You've been tweeting broadcast news. You've been tagging LALATE. You've been tagging reporters. You've been saying, write the bill. This can't go on longer. And you're trying to put the story front page. As I reported this morning, one of the biggest problems about getting your stimulus checks, and I'm telling you from my position, because I know this better than any other channel out there, is because of one major problem. Broadcast media. They're not putting stimulus checks and stimulus package front page news. They're not. And I don't talk about, Forbes of Fortune that repastes and recopies a story that they did 5 days ago. And, it just, doesn't tell you anything. Or CNET, it just, recopies and when with this. They're not reporting the story. So if no one's reporting the story, how does it become a pressing emergency issue? It doesn't. But you can, because you have the purple power. Coming up next is hazard pay, then FPUC. Rent will go to evenings LA tonight because of my voice sort of dissipating. Do me a favor, be my voice, go to the front of this channel and hit that subscribe and alert button. We're trying to make 25,000 new subscribers, 225 in 2 weeks. That was a pledge to Allegiance of last Saturday. And we're doing really well. I think we've added 14,000 in 2 days or 3 days, so we're doing really well. Let's keep it up. I'm keeping up with your tweets and your messages. I'm a little bit behind because you're doing an incredibly great job. I applaud you. I thank you. Always keep a human element in all your tweets when you tag your congressman. I'm homeless. I'm, destitute. I lost my car. I lost this. Tell them your story. I don't know your story. We're doing 1.5 million viewers a day, so tell your 1.5 million stories to broadcast media, to your representatives, and use the purple power. Coming up next is hazard pay. As always, stay informed, stay motivated, stay smiling, and have a great afternoon. And stay with LA for more.